Hello, I'm Victoria. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different from usual because we're not actually going to be talking about books. We are going to be talking about stories, but not anything published or really even written. So recently I was doing some cleaning and realized I had like two different bins of basically memorabilia from like my entire life, and so I wanted to like try to condense it into one thing just to save space and everything. And I was going through my old stuff and I found what might be a gold mine, might be just a lot of cringe, which I guess it's a gold mine of its own. But I have two notebooks here. One is a book of story ideas and one has like 12 handwritten pages of a book that my best guess is that these are from, I want to say I was like maybe 13 or 14. Could be a little bit off on that, but I'm pretty sure that's right. So my whole life, like, I've wanted to be a writer. I distinctly remember being in like 4th grade and thinking, I don't know for sure what I want to do for a job when I get older, but no matter what I do, I also want to write books. And every once in a while I actually do write some, but sadly most of my life I've always kind of been more of a story idea creator instead and not quite gotten around to the writing part. And then I turned 29 last year and it just kind of like hit me like, oh my god, I need to publish like a book now. And so I've actually been making some pretty good progress on a story that I'm working on. And so it just feels kind of fitting to look back at my old writing and brainstorming and both compare but also, I guess, reminisce. So yeah, I don't know if this will be interesting to you guys, but it's interesting to me, so we'll get into it. So we're going to start with the Story Ideas book, just because if one is bad, maybe the next one won't be so bad, I don't know. First, it's titled Hidden Soul. This says, Yumi, an average teenage girl, has another girl's soul trapped inside her named Adri, who happens to be the princess of a planet on another galaxy. At first, the two are always going through internal conflicts, but when people from the planet Kithra realize that the princess's abilities could be manipulated to their advantage at her current state of being, they are on the run. Will Yumi and Audrey learn to cooperate, or will the differences cost them their lives? Even if they work together, will they be able to find the princess's body fast enough? It sounds kind of interesting. It's a little bit of a mess. But that's not the worst that I can remember creating, so I feel like we're off to a good start. This next one is titled Masterpiece Destruction, and it says, when origami, Chinese paintings, and porcelain dolls come to life, are their creators' intentions good or evil? Art is a beautiful thing, even at war. The three greatest artists of Asia are at each other's necks. They have only two things in common: the ability to bring their creations to life and an unknown item of desire. In the middle of this chaos is Kohana, a 15-year-old school student, and she may be the only thing that can stop this war, perhaps because she is also the cause. This one also sounds interesting to me, but I have no idea how, like, I don't know where my mind was at the time of like how Kohana could be the cause of this conflict between these artisans. I don't even know if I knew at the time or if I just thought it sounded cool. Also, I was a huge weeb in middle school and high school, so there might be quite a bit of like Asian inspired stories here. Okay, this next part is a little bit of a mess. It's titled Demon Soul, but rather than like a description like how the other two had, it is definitely more of a brainstorming. Oh my goodness, I just read the first line and it says Princess Alana. And so this is actually based on a game, like a pretend make-believe game that me and my cousin Alana played a lot as like elementary school up to middle school age. Like all the time when we'd be over at my grandma's house, we would play basically the exact same game just on repeat. Like every time we would see each other, we would play this big pretend game. And I'm curious if it turned into anything decent or if it's just a mess, but yeah. So that's funny that I kept her name in there. So Princess Alana, she runs away from home She meets a girl a little younger than herself who is an orphan. Alana is age 9. I don't know if I said that. And then the orphan girl is 5. They run away with each other, grow up in the woods for a while. Meet a village. The village knows that the younger girl is a demon and wants to kill her. This type of demon is a cross between an angel and a demon that unlawfully fell in love. If the child is good-hearted, she will become a full angel when she turns 16. But if she is bad-hearted, she will become full demon. The villagers are too afraid to take the chance, so they believe they must just kill her. But if she is killed before her 16th birthday, her demonic aura will curse the village, practically turning it into a wasteland and causing great sickness. They tell the older girl her plan. She has her own reasons to be terrified of demons, so she agrees even though she really does care for the younger girl. The younger girl has a strange quality in that her birthday is always on a full moon, and ironically, during the month the village holds their lunar festival. As the younger girl grows up in the village, she can tell she is an outcast. Although she is very kind and caring, nobody will speak to her unless absolutely necessary. Except one boy met around 7. She was crying by a stream on a rock and slipped in, drowning. He noticed and saved her, gave her his jacket, and picked a daisy and handed it to her, then ran away. Ever since they have been best friends. They don't think there is anything more than friendship between them. The boy is an orphan, so he knows what it's like to be an outcast. He does not care that she is part demon because he knows she is good-hearted. Her sister tries to act like everything is fine between them, but she is a terrible actress. She is afraid the mention of demons brings back memories of the past and thoughts about the future she does not want to think about ever. It's her 16th birthday now. She's held in prison till 10 p.m. when she will get her full powers. Now, wait, I thought they were going to kill her before her 16th birthday. Now she is in the town square, tied with really strong ropes. Everybody in the village is gathered around her waiting for the killing, except the boy, currently nowhere to be found. And then there's a little side note that says, wise woman can tell what she is because the crescent moon birthmark bordering her right eye. Interesting. But yeah, that actually was basically everything that we played in our play time, I guess. I don't know where we went from. I don't know if we ever got further than this, so I basically wrote down what we did, I guess. A little post-it note fell out of here. While in the forest, Alana turns 10 and receives the powers that every girl in her family have. Hardly uses her powers. Okay. So I guess the royal family also has their own magic. I'm curious what the difference was between them. I have no idea. I don't remember. And then there's one that I crossed out that doesn't have a title, just a big old question mark. And it says, Hidden Garden Area. Dark fairies that hypnotize. A high school girl gets hypnotized and is turned into the Dark Queen. Turns out her best friend is destined to be the Sun Queen. Now there is war, Dark versus Sun. The Dark Queen has no control of herself since she is hypnotized, but how can the Sun Queen kill her best friend? There's some quality stuff in here. The next one also has a question mark for a title. It just says, Master Painter, paintings of other worlds, creatures that drag you into the paintings, apprentices, dreams/fantasies, not as good as they seem, hiddenly dark. That's it. No, just a little bit of world building. There's no plot going on in that story idea. My cat is here now. What's up, buddy? Okay. This next one has quite a bit. It looks like I actually planned it to be a series. There's 2 book 1 and book 2 are described here. I'm not sure in how much detail. Let's see. It says, a life where books equal escape. Only the rich can afford books. Most writers are kept in the castle to provide writing for the king. A peasant girl who can't afford books always has her head up in the clouds. She doesn't write, but always has story ideas going through her head. So this is a self-insert. It's kind of like Inkheart, except instead of making things come to life, you feel like the story is really happening to you and you can interact with it. But once the vision ends, you are snapped back into reality, and anything that happened in the vision is as if it never happened. But she is special. Her stories become reality, and not always as would be expected. And then the margins it says, These people who write books have magic in their hands. The books they write allow the reader to feel like they are in that world, literally. And book 2 of this series says that it's 700 years later, and it's about her great to the 12th power granddaughter lives in a futuristic world where art is, what does this say? Artistic expression is illegal. The main character is a girl who doesn't disobey the law. She meets a mysterious boy who she later finds out is a poet. Slowly over time, after meeting him, she starts showing signs of being artistic. Small things like connecting letters into pictures. Her grandmother notices this and gives her a family heirloom set of illegal paint and brushes. She has a natural talent, but she never finishes her paintings. It feels too unsafe, but she can't explain why. One day, the boy brings her to the one art museum that holds the 25 legal art, in parentheses, photographs. Down a hallway that she never noticed before, the boy leads her to photograph number 26. It's of a fairy painting a human. He takes her hand and leads her into the picture. And then, as a single line below all that, I have finished paintings become worlds. I actually feel like there's something to be done with that one. I don't know if everything in this could work, but I feel like there's some interesting stuff there. So the one that I talked about with Princess Alana, it turns out I was actually having that be book 2 of a series. And book 1, I just found, is called Misguided Angel, and I guess it's kind of like a prequel, really. It's the romance between an angel and a demon, star-crossed lovers, and she ends up, getting pregnant, and then eventually both the mother and father die, and that's how we end up with 5-year-old orphan, half demon, half angel girl. And then apparently there's also going to be a book 3. Oh, and the orphan girl, her name apparently is Ren, because book 3 says Alana's life after Ren returns to heaven. Realizes that no one else controls your destiny. The village has all mythical creatures in the area be killed. She is trying to keep her secret. Ren holds a grudge against Alana. Ooh, so she never took up for her. Oh my goodness, the drama unfolding in my stories. Each angel is assigned a person to watch after. Not everybody gets an angel. Ren is assigned Alana. Dun dun dun. So it's like friends that are basically family to enemies to reluctant co-workers. Alana is terrified of the abnormal, especially demons. A demon once, a long time ago, took over her great-grandmother's body as she was on her deathbed. She sucked the life out of the king and son, she was queen, but could not bring herself to kill her daughter. Instead, she cursed her and fled the kingdom. The curse was that on every full moon, she would turn into an uncontrollable demon. This curse would pass on to every girl after. Interesting. Feels really, I don't know, this last part, like paragraph that I just read, it gives a lot stronger like fairy tale vibes than I feel like the rest had. I mean, like the rest had like, princesses and stuff and like things connected to the full moon, which I feel like kind of give fairy tale vibes, but this just has that stronger feeling, I guess, with like the bloodline curse stuff going on. This isn't even a story idea. This next one just has a question mark for a title, but it just says people living on different moons of Jupiter. They worship Jupiter and its gods. Love the detail. This one says aliens who manufacture mankind and basically use us as entertainment/projects. Way more advanced in technology, like 4 Ys level way. A girl whose father was a spaceship engineer and had a secret plan and went to blank line with planet in parentheses underneath and discovered that there is extremely intelligent people there. They are human-like, except they have the ability to use 100% of their brain. So I feel like, back in the day, they used to say that like humans only use like 10% of their brain and stuff. I feel like as a kid, I heard this and it just like blew my mind, and that's where this came from. What they really did was create human-like people on another planet, but they had a mind of their own and wanted to prove themselves superior to the humans on Earth. They traveled there and started to blend in with our society, handling their plan to kill us secretly. It's up to one girl to convince the world that half our population is out to kill us. Let's see, then we have like some character profile stuff of the demon princess girl. Then we have character work for the girl from the painting story. Wow. Okay, this is the most detailed one so far. King and queen need an heir. Young poor boy. School for the extremely talented. This story idea, I haven't started reading it yet, except that I see there's two sections, one titled 1700s and one titled modern day. So let's see. 1700s, grandmother owned a natural medicine store, had a huge garden, dies of loneliness. Orphaned grandsons who live with her inherited everything. When they were little, she told stories of how the plants are more than just living, they had minds of their own. The stories turned out to be true. These plants were loyal to the grandsons because of who their grandmother was. One was closer to the grandmother for a reason I have yet to decide, and he became depressed, and with a surge of anger, he ended up swarming an entire town with plants, running out the citizens and making it no longer livable. The other grandson chose to actually live in the garden in order to feel closer to his grandmother, turning it into a sort of kingdom. One of the plants they each controlled could be used to make an immortality elixir. And then in modern day, it says, a 16-year-old girl moves into a farmhouse with her mother. It was reported that her father died before she was born, so she never met him. She has always been able to take care of any living thing. She will later find out that these abilities give her the title of nurturer. The nurturer is the firstborn of the last nurturer, and they are descendants of Mother Nature. The twins are of a long line of guardians, people meant to protect the nurturer's garden till she can find her way. She is the queen, and the guardian of her choice will be king. So this is a love triangle situation. My cat is being crazy. This is a love triangle situation, I guess. Once a king is chosen, all the other guardians no longer are guardians. The king and queen can never be together romantically, for it would ruin the bloodlines and tradition of the nurturer and guardians. So they must choose between love or duty. And what about the other brother no longer burdened by being a guardian? It's a little bit convoluted, but I feel like that actually has some possibility too. Interesting. And that looks like it. All in all, I feel like the ones that I actually fleshed out somewhat in this weren't awful. I find it interesting that I had quite a few story ideas that was just like 2 lines, but yeah, that wasn't too bad. Now, do I want to share this with you? This is The Bird Kingdom, book 1 of the Remembrance trilogy. How many pages do I actually have here? Oof. These pages are falling out. Okay, so it's 12 pages. I think we'll go for it. And then if it's terrible, I am just gonna stop here and summarize, I guess, for you. So, Lindy, sweetie, can you tell me one more time what happened the day you went missing? The shrink asked me. I behaved like the polite girl I was and told him calmly again. I saw a boy with wings fall from the sky. He was hurt, so I helped him and took him home. He gave me pretty wings, but an evil witch stole them. The shrink asked me many more questions about everything ranging from my relationship with my father to my dreams at night. Eventually, he came to the conclusion that there was nothing wrong with me. Time is taking far too long to pass as I wait for school to end. I have completely given up on participating in class. Everybody at school thinks I'm a freak because I told them about what happened that day 11 years ago and they didn't believe me. But it's true. I'm not crazy. I know what I saw, I think. The bell finally rings and I already have my stuff. Ooh. Look at this page. Together. So I rush out of the classroom before Mrs. Biddle. Why does that last name sound so familiar? I think I was just stealing people's names from my life, like all the time in my writing. Even has a chance to say goodbye. I gather my books at my locker and wait for Ray, my best friend. We've been super close ever since he found me crying 7 years ago. That was when my mom died. ... Finally, I see him, dressed in baggy black pants and an Avenged Sevenfold shirt, walking towards me with a lonely stare at the ground. He doesn't look up until he reaches me, and when he does, his expression changes to a sly smile I have come to know so well. What are you up to? I asked him suspiciously, attempting not to smile back and failing miserably. You'll see, he responds, his smile widening. Come on, let's get out of here. I shut my locker and we're off. We make quite the scene, Ray and I. In a private school where only children of doctors and lawyers go, the two of us are the outcasts. We keep to ourselves, and my fashion sense isn't exactly what I would call normal. I prefer to describe it as Gothic Victorian. Intimidating yet elegant, beautiful but terrifying. We stand out like a sore thumb. I used to have many friends. I used to be normal, but that was a long time ago. That was before she came along. Nobody knew what to say. We were only in 3rd grade after all, so everybody just avoided me. That is, except Ray. We have been through everything together. So here I am, sitting with the best friend anyone could ask for in the crappy basement he calls his room. We're both drawing, although the majority of Ray's drawings are of me. He says I'm his muse. Mine are of my dreams. Many of my dreams are about birds. Crows staring from the trees, vultures circling from the skies, doves nesting in a bell tower. I dream of birds all the time, but in my dreams, I am not just watching them, I am one of them. So my drawings are instead of things I saw, like dead animal carcasses and old-fashioned towns. They feel so real sometimes, as if my mind knows what it's like to be a bird, which doesn't make sense when you think about it, because I never even got to fly that day. What? That day? Oh, I guess referencing the event, but like, did she fly another time? I don't know. But it's like my unconscious mind knows that I'm meant for something more than just dealing with annoying teenagers in high school. So edgy. I jump at the sound of my phone ringing. It reads, Father. As I sit and stare at it, listening to Blood by My Chemical Romance blast. Lindy, Ray starts. I know, I say quickly before he starts. I reach for the phone, take a breath, and answer the call. Hello? Lindy, good. I was starting to get worried when you didn't pick up your phone, my dad said. Oh, I replied dryly. Are you coming home soon? Your sister made dinner. I could feel my heart freeze as he mentioned her. I sighed in frustration. Yeah, I'll head home soon, I finally respond. Okay, Lindy, I love you, he offered. See you soon, I said, ending the phone call. Ray looked at me worriedly. It's not his fault your mom died, Lindy, he started hesitantly. Dying during labor happens all the time. Yeah, well, I'll see you tomorrow, okay? Interesting. I feel like normally in a situation where, like, the mom dies during labor, it's like the child, like, blaming it on themselves. I don't know what my logic was for her blaming her dad. Yeah, he replied, smiling that gorgeous smile. Ray was a little kid at heart. When his parents divorced, he felt the need to gain attention. That's the only reason I can think of for why he wears all black and listens to screamo music. I can tell by looking at him that he doesn't even like the music. I had to fiddle for my card when I reached the estate. My father is this highly respected brain surgeon, so we had a huge yard and a huge house, and it's just all so pointless. The only time I liked it was when Mother was around. I'm having one of my bad days where I start thinking about her too much and it becomes too hard to handle. After sliding my card, I start towards the house. Soon I'm running a full sprint so I don't have to feel the original pain in my chest. I run right past the girl and don't give her a second glance. The girl is not evil. She is my sister. She is the one who killed my mother. The worst thing is, we saw it coming. There's something wrong with my family. I don't know what. All I know is that my family cannot go to regular doctors. We have live-in nurses on our estate. When my mother was pregnant with my sister, the nurses said the girl was growing too fast and that the baby would kill my mother if she did not get an abortion. But my mother said no. There was nothing my father could do, so he said. So we were forced to wait while my mother was torn apart, what the heck, by the girl, by Jasmine. I was 6 when this happened. All of her workers on the estate have to be live-in because she is still growing. She is 11 years old and over 6 feet tall. Jeez. I have this hunch that my father knows something about my sister that he's not telling me. Some days Jasmine comes out of her room throwing a horrible fit, but instead of her high-pitched whining, it's this low cry that doesn't even sound human. On days like this, Father takes her into his study and shuts the door. About 20 minutes later, they both walk out and act as if nothing ever happened. In my room, I walk over to where all my picture frames are standing. Looking at them makes me reminisce about when I was little and Mother used to create all of these fantastical make-believe games for us to play. During them, she would create stories to go along. telling of fairies who pull pranks and mermaids who fall in love. I was completely captivated by her voice every time. It never got old hearing of adventurous stories from my mother. My father, on the other hand, would always frown when he watched us and would talk about how none of these things truly existed, but I didn't care. Feeling reminiscent, child? A voice called from the window behind me. I jumped from shock and turned toward the voice all in one move. So I was just spinning in the air. Then a shriek got held in my throat. A smile crossed the witch's face. Miss me? What are you doing here? I growled. A promise is a promise, and you owe me a favor. I would never help a witch like you. Ah, the witch replied. She hopped down from the window and walked over to where I was standing. She picked up a picture of my mother, looked at me and asked, not even to feel closer to her? Taken aback, I was at a loss for words. I had no idea what she meant. What are you talking about? I demanded. She leaned in close to my ear. I can give you your wings back, she whispered. My whole body froze. How? I managed. Sweetie, don't you remember? I'm the one who made that potion in the first place. How do I know I can trust you? I asked, eyeing her. She was gorgeous and terrifying all at once. She had flowing black hair that reached to her thighs and piercing yellow eyes. She smiled. You don't, she replied, but I know that unless I give you what you want, you won't give me what I want. Something didn't feel right. This felt too perfect. What's the catch? I asked. No catch, she replied with obvious fake innocence. You just have to do a little spy work on that bird kingdom for me. That's all. You do that and you'll have your wings forever. I was silent as she watched me and held out her hand. So is it a deal? She asked. This could be my only chance to connect with Mom again. My hand was shaking as I extended it to grab hold of the witch's hand. Deal. The entrance to their world being in my garden... What? The entrance to their world being in my garden was still as weird to me as before. Did any of the workers know about this? Did my father? It seemed unlikely since it was in a part that was not upkept. The vines were so overgrown in this area that they started to wind themselves around the banister of the stairs in the ground. As the witch and I walked down the stairs, it was as if the world flipped over and we were now somehow walking up the stairs rather than walking down. This wasn't the only entrance into their world. There is another. This is just the easier of the two. The other requires flying over the lethargic sea at just the right height, or Lake Erie, as it is called in this world. It's quite strange to me how that works. I learned about this from a book, one that I had become very much attached to. Oh, sweetie, where have you been? My mother cried out as she held on to me for dear life. What? I'm so lost. Oh, Mother, it was the most amazing thing. I started to tell, looking towards my father and his coworkers who stood at the doorway. I met a boy with wings in the garden, I exclaimed, but he was hurt, so I helped him home. He gave me wings, but an evil witch stole them. My mother stared at me in surprise while my father leaned against the wall, watching his coworkers with a stone-cold expression. They looked at me like I was a mental patient in need of observing. Even at the age of 5, I could tell they didn't believe me. Poor thing, I heard one whisper. She was so smart, and now she will be nothing but a burden on her family. They definitely need to get her help, another one murmured in agreement. Lila, my father started. Yes, dear, replied my mother. Set up an appointment with the family therapist tomorrow for Linda, he stated as he led his coworkers towards the study. Yes, dear, my mother murmured to nobody. Oh, Mother, I cried out. They don't believe me, do they? No, sweetie, she replied, they don't. But why? Because, she explained, things like you described don't exist in our world. But they do, I argue. I know, baby. She held me close to her. Trust me, I know. I pulled away to look up at her. How do you know? She was quiet for a moment, unsure of how to answer, it seemed. Then all of a sudden, she got up off of my bed and started tugging me by the arm down the ridiculously ginormous hallways. Where are we going? I'd asked. To the library, she said. I have something I want to show you. What is it? I questioned as she pulled me through the double doors leading to our library. At first she didn't answer as she dragged me through the different rows of books while she searched. Finally she pulled one out of the science section. This, she mumbled. It was titled Mythology and Facts for the Clueless. I had stood staring, not knowing what I was expected to say. What is it? I finally asked. My mother smiled in an excited gleam. This, she started. I really liked the word started, apparently. Is everything you need to know about the world. We're going to have to do something about this, the witch said. Oh, okay, so that was a flashback. Gotcha. We're going to have to do something about this, the witch said, gesturing to all of me. What do you mean by that? I asked defensively. Sweetie, the witch started, you're not going to fit in that village just like this. Ah. What, Gothic Lolita fashion isn't not popular in this world? I asked with a smirk. Only if you're a witch, she replied in full seriousness as she pondered about what I should wear. And that is the end of my writing. Yeah. You know, it does make sense though, because I feel like a lot of the stuff that I cringed at in my, like, in reading this is the kind of stuff that I cringe at now, looking back at YA fantasy from, like, that time period of when I would have written this. So I feel like it makes sense. So I'm only cringing at it as, like, in a looking back way, but, like, I don't feel like most of it, like, was terrible for the time period. There was definitely some things, and there was also a lot of things that I'm like, oh, I can't believe I wrote this down. Like, yeah, I don't know. So what'd you guys think? And also, if any of you guys are writers, have you ever looked back at your stuff from your childhood and read it again as an adult? Because this was definitely an experience. But yeah, I guess that's it for today. I just kind of wanted to share this with you. Maybe at some point I'll share some writing from me as an adult so we can see whether or not there's been improvement. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great day. Bye!